very short episode because it relates to what Silvan shared about that community from garbage and that kingdom thinking. And I value Silvan so much. He's such a strategic kingdom thinker, and his thinking goes beyond one generation, going to 2, 3 generations. I really appreciate that, Silvan, and I really feel inspired. I had a conversation in November with young Christian leader, daughter and granddaughter of Egyptian Coptic priest. She's a psychologist. She's a Word with Adolf partner in Egypt. Her name is Nadine. And I, together with Richard, we visited her ministry at the heart of the garbage collector city in Cairo, where more than 100,000 people lives, and this young lady and her ministry, they are serving their children and vulnerable children and mothers. And I met her in the United States in November and had a conversation with her and said to her, Nadine, I would really appreciate if you will consider to be part of the Middle East and North Africa, MENA region facilitation team, and because your voice could be really needed and helpful there. And her response was, she said to me, I will think about that, Lubo, and I will pray, and let me see what Lord will say to me. But from my perspective, I don't want to lose opportunity to be serving the children at Garbage Collector City because I'm meeting Christ in them every day when I'm there. And I was really deeply moved when she said that. She said that I don't want to lose opportunity to meet Christ in those children there at Garbage Collector City and in exchange for leadership position and the role, you know. And so, but she said, I will speak with the Lord about it. So these conversations today in the morning reminded me that story. I would like to share with you a few slides. If you are watching the movie, you know that you can find the trailer for the movie, you know, either YouTube or I think Netflix is offering kind of the taste, whether it is too dramatic for you or whether it is comedy or family film or they call it something dramedy. I still don't understand all these names, you know. But the trailer is actually just showing you something in order to get you to really see the movie. So if you see the trailer, you cannot say, oh, I saw the movie. You saw just the maybe dramatic points from the movie picked in order to get your attention and to get you to sit and to watch whole movie, you know. So what I'm going to share with you is more a trailer. It's not a movie. It's invitation for you to watch the movie. And as a good movie, it should be watched with someone, with someone you like to be, because then you can talk about the movie. So my encouragement is for you, if you will think about the roadmap, think and talk about that, and even read it or have discussions about it or pray about it with the friends, with the people around you, either at your local church or in your community or in your family, you know, or with a group of friends around the coffee, and you can ask yourself, what could we do together? Are these principles somehow applicable, or should we adjust some of them? Are they valuable for our context? And I believe that the collaboration, working together is really important, and actually the only Bible reference I will make today, I think, is the 1 Corinthians 14:26, when Bible is saying, when you are coming together, everyone has something. You know, so be sure that if we are in this room, I can go, I'm not going to, and I know that people were warned not to sit in the first row because speaker may ask some questions. So I know the trick. I can go back and ask the people at the back, you know, and then we'll fill the first row, you know, because people say, I'm not safe there, maybe I'm safer here, the beginning. But I can go one by one and ask the question, And each one of us in this room with something you can have to bless others. There is no one, zero. In Czech we say nula. There is a zero persons in this room having nothing. You bring something valuable, your passion, your experience, your knowledge, your wisdom, your family history, your insight, your cultural perspective, your knowledge of the Bible, name it. That list is very long, but you are bringing something here. So we are not in the room with a group of people who are coming to listen, wise men or wise women, to share with us what could be done. We are here just to encourage each other that together we can learn how to serve better and how to work together and how to bring more of what God gave us and how to steward it well on behalf of vulnerable children and families. So my first slide is just the image. So please, next slide, please. Okay. And with World Without Orphans, we had that tagline, I think is the how could people describe it. And it was churches engaged, families strong, children thriving. And actually at the beginning, the formulation was children thriving, families strong, churches engaged. And then one friend of mine, Sri Lankan colleague, Praveen Gomez, at one of the meetings, he said, I think we changed the order and add something. And so this was advised by Praveen. He said, well, people should collaborate. And as a result, churches should be engaged and families to be strong and children should be thriving. So it's still a tagline. It is not what I'm going to speak about, but it started with the collaboration. It started with bringing people together, their hearts, their passion together, and serving together. So next slide, please. As I mentioned that this is a trailer, so I'm really inviting you to watch the movie. And the movie could be either in the I hope you understand, I'm not talking about the real movie, but maybe someone will turn this into the movie because there are so many gifted people around. So I'm talking about this, about the roadmap material. It is print, it is in paper version, in paper form, but it is also in online form. You know, I don't know whether it was mentioned, probably it was. You can see the online version of it, and my next slide is just, yeah. Well, I was using this red color to mark it, and unfortunately we don't see it as well. But this is just the print screen. That was my IT level of my IT ability, doing a print screen, you know, and then so it's very, very low, you know. But I was trying my best. So I was trying to show you that you can go online. And these four blue are emphasizing all four areas of roadmap: prevention, intervention, collaboration, and living refresh. And you see even the reference that you can get that in Spanish and other languages as well. But then what was my point to make a print screen was that you can find there this word: watch the movie together. Really, the real meaning is processing it together and asking questions together. I think rightly so, questions are important. And it was said to me that sometimes we, especially evangelicals, we are rushing to answers, bringing answers without really identifying and asking right questions, you know. And so we can come together to ask right questions and to wrestle with that together. So my next slide, please. I didn't mention to you, and I'm going to mention that I will invite three friends of mine, three leaders, to answer my questions, short questions. So this is again online. You can find this online. You can find the roadmap summary, and you see the printed version there. So if you'd like to have extended trailer of the movie, you can read the summary, whether it is something you would like to dive deeper in. And then you can read just Broadscale collaboration, or you can read all four. And there is point in, so my next slide, please. I would like to start with this. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to follow it also here in my laptop, and not successfully. Okay. So I already mentioned that when we are here, everybody is bringing something. And I think the only way to really benefit from what you are bringing in, just to acknowledge that you are here not as a recipient only, but you are here to give, to share. And that learning community approach is something we emphasize as a World Without Orphans. I believe that you emphasize that. So the next slide is just showing what could be helpful to keep in mind, and the roadmap is encouraging us. Please, next slide. You can keep in mind these commitments. It's like a mental commitment. I'm going to speak with, for example, I will say I will have a meeting with Ronnie and Susan and Alina, and I should remind myself that I may feel in some areas expert, but I'm coming to the meeting, be willing to learn even I am at the expert. That's inner attitude. That's attitude of learning and openness to learn. But I'm also coming to that meeting not to be a silent partner. I realize that at some meetings, when you facilitate the meetings, there are two groups of people. One who are talking all the time, and one who are silent all the time, you know? There is almost like always gap between that, and you need intentionally encourage those you like to talk all the time, please listen more. You who are listening so well, please share your thoughts, because that may really bring something very valuable. And those are the basic things, but you know what I learned? The life-changing things are most often are very simple and basic, but they need to be introduced into the conversations and into the work. And then the third one is, we don't want to have just the nice, friendly, academic or less academic conversations. We would like to encourage each other to take action. And of course, it is good to come back. Fourth one is reminding there is a mutual responsibility and accountability based on relationships. So my advice would be, and you will read more in the roadmap, keep this in mind when you are inviting others to explore collaboration. And I am intentionally sharing that at the beginning of my trailer, because this attitude we can tune in even right now when we are having these days. And okay, so next slide, please. It is a good habit if you have meetings to remind what is the overall long-term goal, why we are coming together. We are community with a purpose, with a mission, you know. And so, next slide, please. I'm intentionally taking time to show you what actually we are doing at our meetings, and probably you are doing as well, at the beginning. And Richard did that so well for us. We are reminding ourselves that we have a purpose, we have a vision why we are coming together. And the next slide, please. And we are having the cornerstones. And again, I'm going to resist the temptation to speak more about this. Child, family, church, movement, and God, in all of that. You can do with your team exercise, reading the roadmap, just taking it from one side to the another, and then reversing the direction and asking, is it changing how we are having a conversation when we will start from God in the movement, God in the church, God in the family, God in the life of the child as a part of something bigger, you know. So we keep reminding that in our meetings. And, you know, I don't know whether you're like that, but when the group of activists meets, they jump into what will be our next project. And then sometimes what may happen, someone called, I hope I will pronounce it correctly in English, ostopus on inline blades. How you call that? Ostopus is the animal on those octopus on rollerblades. You know, try to imagine on each leg rollerblade. Someone said a lot of movement, no progress. A lot of movement into every direction, you know? Because there was no one reminding that our activities, our actions, our gatherings, there is a direction for us. There is a purpose for us. There are actually the cornerstones for us. Our collaboration has a direction. Okay, so next slide, please. This may again seem obvious, but I think that there is no collaboration without the collaboration in the area of prevention or intervention. That's the substance. You know, if someone will say to me, I'm inviting you for a coffee, and will offer me a nice or nicest cup, but no coffee inside, there will be no point in inviting me for a coffee, because the substance inside is really what he's invited me for. So again, the prevention and intervention is why we are collaborating together. And collaboration is the way to do that, kingdom way, I believe, to do that. And Living Refresh is also reflecting the kingdom way to do that. So next slide, please. Well, that's what I just said, so please, next slide. And that's what I just said. So next slide. But you may notice, I was really intentionally using the text taken from the roadmap. I was intentional, you know. Sometimes as I was reading it, I say, well, are we too academic or too smart with the words? Maybe we should simplify the words, you know. But that's a living document. How many versions we created? Two or two? And it is still living document. It is not like, it is not going to become a canon or cutting in the stone. It is living document which is there to serve. So, but this is a really important point. We are talking about the collaboration, and I noticed that it is easier to have a seminar about the collaboration or to share the material about the collaboration than to think like our team is the first place where we should start collaboration. So, team is the first place to collaborate. I need to take my glasses on. And I would like to invite my first guest, Alina Druta, who is leading Alliance for Moldova Without Orphans. Okay, you would like to take my microphone, right? Oh, we are ready for that. So, Alina, correct me if I will be wrong. That Moldova has 2.6 million people, and approximately 500,000 are children. And that's the questionable word. Vulnerable children, according to UNICEF, are somewhere around 170,000. I don't know, could it be close? Yes. And so that means, like, again, according to UNICEF, of each three children is vulnerable. So that's the situation. Like, my question is, can you share with us Moldova experience of collaboration? Something about that, something which you really think may be helpful for people to hear from Moldovan experience.
Yes. First of all, I am so honored to stay next to Lubo because I admire you and your brain and the work that you do. So I would like to engage you in what I'm going to say about Moldova. Have you ever met, for sure you did, but let's raise our hands, those who had or has in their care a child that you say, don't go there, and that's exactly where they go. Raise your hands. Okay. There is an element of strong willingness into that. And this is how I would describe Moldova. In the best sense of strong willingness. It's not loud, it's subtle, but it's a strong willingness. Because when I think of 13 years ago, when we were just tackling this idea of having an alliance in Moldova, Alliance for Moldova Without Orphans, there were many voices that were saying, oh, forget it, like this is not going to happen. It's a post-Soviet country. People still are very embedded in this mentality that it's my little kingdom and I am the king and access denied. But there was a group of people, about 8 people, strong-willed people that said, we are actually gonna do it. So we got together, we started to come more often to Romania. We invited Alex Ilie from ARFO to come and help the team. And 13 years later, we are an established alliance that has a partnership with the government, with on a local level, central level. And it's that, I would say, strong willingness when everybody says, no, you're not going to do it. You're surrounding yourself with people that say, actually, we did it. We did it in Romania. We did it in Ukraine. So Moldova can do it. And just start to surround yourself with people who encourage you and say, you're going to do it.
But how strong-willing Moldovans could collaborate?
Yes. So to answer that is when we decide that we are going to change the culture of our country. We will leave our old strategies of controlling, of this fear of even, being controlled, let's say, by a bigger organization, and always expose ourselves to other types of leadership. So to be more specific, here in the room, there is Miss Olga Zaharia, who is the head of adoption in the Republic of Moldova. And to answer your question for the collaboration, we were invited by one of our organization's founders of ACMO. We invited for a conference, and they had partnership with local authorities. And at that conference, they invited local authorities to come and be exposed to training and best practices. And we were teaching trauma training in that session. And in those sessions, we're sitting Miss Olga. Miss Olga, if you can stand, dacă puteți să vă ridicați. Yes. Back then, she was the head of foster care department. And she's sitting in that session. I had no idea who she was. She's sitting in that session. And after we were done at the coffee break, she comes to me and she says, I really like that trauma training, and this is something new for us, and we want you to train all foster parents in trauma training. So we took this collaboration when someone organized the conference, someone invited others that have expertise to teach at that conference, and then the collaboration goes on and it spreads. So I hope this answers your question.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, Alina. So it takes a team, and I think that if you ever work with, as a part of the team, you know that if you don't learn to collaborate there, it will be very hard to collaborate outside of the team, because in the kind of the close relationships of the team, the different personalities, different approach, different cultural aspects are coming and are shaping our conversations. But it's a good training ground to learn to collaborate together. And so it really takes a team, and next slide is just underlining that, that it takes a team to support collaboration around. That team should collaborate internally in order to support and create an environment where collaboration is possible. Certain things are contagious. Passion could be contagious. The willingness to learn could be contagious. The success could be contagious as well, you know. And when people realize, wow, we are together and the things are happening, God is really blessing that it's just allowing us to realize that there is a power. I think it was Richard Ward. Is there Richard here? And maybe some of you just learned that English word, which is impossible for me to remember, when he was showing us the one bird, and then there was that murmuration. That was then that murmuration, you know, of the birds. Overwhelming, you know. So, next slide, please. These are, when we were thinking about the team, we just asked the question like, is it possible to describe how WWO facilitation team activity and life could be measured? And these are very basic trailer way suggestions for you to consider. Team should be active. It shouldn't be bored meeting twice in the year, signing papers and ending their work there. There should be communication going on, questions asked together. That should be collaborative, and I already mentioned that. And it should represent the different spheres. That shouldn't be a group of NGO leaders coming together and saying, this is how things will be done. Neither it should be the group of pastors coming together. There should be business represented, government ideally represented. There should be the academic voice there. There should be adoptive parents there. So that's one of the measures, whether you are building or are aiming towards the really efficient facilitation team, that it is a multi-sphere team. So ask these questions when you are thinking about a team. And now I would like to ask my friend Alina, that's the second Alina speaking today, if you will be willing to answer my questions. And Alina is Executive Director for Romania Without Orphans. And actually, I learned a lot when I asked her questions years ago about how to involve the local churches. I saw that she is really strategically and practically thinking, and we will mention that in a few minutes, about that overlap of spiritual, practical, and relational. And so I really appreciate what you are doing, Alina. And the one thing we learn that is that ARFO, Alliance for Romania Without Orphans, is doing every year the conference over the years. How is that influencing the collaboration in the country? Can you just share a few thoughts about that?
So we're starting doing conference since 2014. At the beginning, there were national conferences in a big city in Romania that would gather people from all the country. But after doing that, we realized that we could have more impact and collaboration if we are switching to several local small conferences. So what we are doing now is doing one-day conference in several big cities. And the purpose of the conference is to to motivate, to encourage, to train the parents, people that are working with vulnerable children, the state employee, and the church. So doing that in a city, we are trying to involve the churches, the NGOs, the local trainers, everyone that could collaborate in this kind of event. So we don't want ARFO to have a new conference in a city. We want that the local partners, the churches, and we together to have a conference in a city. So we often do meetings with pastors before the conference to invite them to participate and to be part of the event. We try to identify local trainers that could teach during the conference. We are inviting local families that could share their testimonies. So we are trying to having that, the families that are in that city could approach more easy the local resources. If they need a therapist, they know a therapist that already teach in that conference that could help them in their journey. Or churches could get involved in the local needs. And we did, last year, we did a meeting in one of the conference and invited the churches, the state workers, and and NGOs, and putting them together to discover what are the local needs and how the church could get involved more in the local needs.
Thank you very much, Alina. That was my second question, and actually you answered that even before I asked, because I was just wondering that actually what I'm hearing you to say is that it is not you asking the regional partners at that region to help you to make a successful event. It is you assisting them to really start the collaboration there, right? Do I understand it correctly?
Yes, yes. Because some of the families that are in one city, they don't know. They just adopted, and okay, we don't know the local resources, and this is a context where they could see the resources. We are usually working with a local group, and we encourage also to make support group after the conference or different other events that could bring specialists and churches together that could help the local movement and families that are there.
Thank you very much, Alina. And is that correct that people can come and ask you more about it?
Sure.
And there is also Liviu, who is the chairman of the board, right, for ARFO. And I think that Alina and Liviu, and probably there are other people from ARFO, can help you to understand. Because when we ask, I had a call recently with my colleague Carmen with them, and I realized that there is a intentionality, that servant attitude is coming with intentionality to assist, you know, not to really own, you know, that's my understanding, not to own, but to assist and serve. And I think that's very honorable, and that should be, you know, something you may learn from. So thank you very much, Alina. Thanks. And so my next slide, please, is you see my secrets, certain things I'm repeating because I know that it is easier to remember that, you know. And the next slide, please. Then this picture speaks for itself, but when you will, my colleague Susan can tell you how long it took me to really acknowledge and realize that it is very important to pay attention to this concept of working together and really to understanding like what are the ingredients of collaborative impact instead of isolated impact, you know. So roadmap will help you to understand that. And my next slide, is just, this is the picture you will find there, and you can focus and study more together, like what could mean having a backbone coordination, what it does mean having a common agenda for change, shared measurement, and I think that that's one of the emphases we learn also, that data collection and measuring is important. That we can be driven by passion and just feel like, well, who cares? We need to go for our next goal and to solve the next problem. But you really to ask the questions, whether we are doing it the right way and what are the results and whether we are moving in the right direction. So next slide, please. This is what I said, and here you have it in the text, taking from the roadmap. And the next slide, please. Thank you very much. And this is invitation for you. You know, it's literally impossible, really, to have a organized breakout session in the setting as we have. And we were even debating whether to bring a tables and so on. But we will not, because it will cause more disruption than helpful, be helpful. But I would like to emphasize that asking questions together is really, really valuable tool, because it's building towards the shared understanding of the problem and shared ownership of solution. And that's collaboration. When I know that it is not their problem, it is neither just my problem, it is our problem, then we are thinking together about a solution. So I would like to invite you to give 15 minutes, let's say. Let us have a 15 minutes to talk with 1 or 2, 3 people around you. You don't need to move chairs. You can turn around and reach to someone and ask this question. Who are the people you could invite to join collaborative multi-sphere team? Some of you may have teams like that already. Some of you never thought about it. This is opportunity to speak with someone next to you. Like, who could be the people? Do we have a local business community and they know nothing about the problems? Are churches really aware that community is struggling with some things? So you may now think for 15 minutes, who could be the people you invite? And if you already have such a team, ask the questions, are there other spheres we didn't tap into? We may, academics or even NGOs, But NGOs most of the time are the most active, so still you may consider that. So let us have 15 minutes and wrestle together with someone around you on question who could be the people you could invite to join your team to have a collaborative team.